Hello everybody, welcome to Only IAS of Physics Wala. Now here, first things first, congratulations to all of you. Basically, all those of you who attempted UPSC Mains exam. You attempted it because of your hard work. You're going to get through it because of your hard work. And even if you don't get through also, don't at all feel bad because you've come this far. It is going to give you a lot of important lessons. So don't worry, don't think about anything now. You deserve rest, so take good rest now. Now let us come to the point. The reason why we have met today, it is basically for analyzing the public administration question paper. And we are going to analyze the public administration question paper, paper 1 today. All right. So let us quickly see. We are not going to, elaborate on everything here, but we'll just try to understand the general trends of last few years and try to see where is this optional headed. Is this optional becoming more difficult like how some experts in the market claim, or is it becoming very difficult? It's a non-scoring subject. Will this myth associated with public administration continue? That is what we are going to see. So overall, if you need to analyze the trend, this is how you do it. That is from 2018 to 2023. What is the general nature of the questions asked? So if you see, there is no clear discernible pattern, because if you see in 2018, the chapter introduction, which is the first chapter of public administration, if you see that in 2018 you had 4 questions coming from it, whereas in 2023 you hardly have one. Clear? If you go down, second chapter, it's 3 on 3, again 3 on 3, 2 and 3, 3 and 2, and then 0, 1. Then again you can see 2, 1, 2, 4, 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, etc. for each of the remaining chapters. What does that mean? You cannot ignore a single chapter here. You cannot say this chapter is more important than the other. You cannot take any calculated risk, which means this subject has to be taught very holistically. Every chapter has its importance, and if the faculty in question connects these chapters, then the understanding becomes easy. Otherwise, it is going to become really tough. That is why public administration becomes the toughest optional, not because the subject is tough, but thanks to faculties who are not capable enough, who don't know how to interlink paper 1 and paper 2 along with the current affairs, and who will make the work of the students double. Otherwise, this is a very easy optional. And going by another trend from 2018 onwards, if you look at the trend in terms of the questions asked, direct questions on thinkers are very less. Rather, the question pattern, if you see, it is like they have given you a statement, and then they are expecting you to analyze it, elucidate it, explain it, comment on it, analyze it, etc. That's it. That means, what is your take? What is your opinion? That is what they want to know. It is not about what the textbook is saying, what a particular thinker said, nothing like that. So here, what you must understand is, what you must understand here when it comes to public administration is that the exam is becoming of a high quality stuff. What do I mean by high quality stuff here? See, when a statement is given to you and then they ask you to explain it or comment or analyze or elucidate, the purpose basically here is to understand how much is your knowledge depth of that subject. So knowledge depth means what? Knowledge depth means I should analyze the given statement. If whatever statement is given to me, that I should explain. Or if the statement, what is the statement given to me, on that I have to comment, or I have to analyze, or I have to elucidate. Anybody could have said that statement. Anybody. Now, the mistake that most aspirants make is just because they hear, okay, a statement is given and let us say a thinker's name is given along with it. What happens? Then student starts doing research on the thinker. Getting the point here. This is almost like you get a quote in your ethics paper where the quote has been said by, let us say, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak or Mahatma Gandhi. Now, the moment they see Mahatma Gandhi, what do they start writing there? Non-cooperation movement, Satyagraha, what is it? Quit India movement, everything. Basically, they write a mini synopsis of whatever Gandhi did once he arrived in India. Was that the purpose of the question? Was that the need of the question? The question is very clear. It is not about who said the statement. It is about this statement, what does it mean to you? You must have this understanding first. What does that mean to you? Do you agree with it? If yes, why? Do you disagree with it? Again, why? Then a conclusion. So, the risk element involved here is when you write in such a fashion, and that is which is the correct way of writing it. What happens here is often students end up writing it like a GS paper answer. Because the subject itself is like that. That is the risk element associated, or the only risk element associated with the subject. When you look at the topics, especially from paper 2, sometimes you end up writing an answer which is too general in nature. That is, it will be a perfect answer if it is for GS paper 2 or GS paper 3, but not for an optional paper. An optional paper means you should have terms and terminologies of that particular optional. That should come there organically. You must include the thinkers organically. What do I mean by organically including the thinkers? Organically including thinkers means when I am explaining a statement, whether I agree with it or disagree with it, etc., to validate my point, I will use any one of the thinkers' name. This is how you do it. And then I will validate it with a current affair. So for paper 1, that is the pattern generally. That is, you mention thinkers, but organically. And you mention current affairs, where you show, yes, to this extent, this statement is true. To this extent, it is not true. This is the way to go about it, people. And that is the way you're going to score marks in this subject. That means, consider this, your optional paper of public administration, to be what? Just like an essay paper, where you would have studied about thinkers, you would have studied about current affairs. And according to each statement, you are throwing in the thinker that suits the context, and you're throwing in the example that suits the context. The purpose here is to show to the invigilator that you appreciate and understand the subject. That means it becomes even more important that you keep your preparation very concise, precise, to the point. Means what? Not refer too many materials. Never refer too many materials. Stick to 1 or 2 textbooks. That's it. My recommendation is always what? Mohit Bhattacharya. Because ideally, if you are attending my classes, from the rest of the materials, I will collect the notes and I will give it to you. Whatever other books you hear in the market, I pick up my points from almost all the books. The best ones I pick it up and I deliver the material. So your point, and I only leave this book to you. Because this book gives an in-depth analysis and an Indian way of looking at things. That is the reason. This book is perfect. Multiple readings of this one textbook for paper 1 is sufficient. Clear? Now let us get into the nick of things. So this was our question paper, section A. Alright, consisting of these many questions. 1, A, B, C, D, E, which is the compulsory section. You have to answer it come what may. And then you have been given a choice to choose from the remaining. Alright, so as part of our discussion, obviously, then you have section B, where again you have the remaining questions 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean 5th question, which is again compulsory, and then the remaining from where you can make a choice from. So this is what it is. So without any further delay, we will discuss all the questions, because That is the purpose here. Now look at this beauty. Public administration horizons have been expanding to cater to the complex needs of the citizens in the globalized era. Explain. That means horizon of public administration. Okay. It is almost like you have PubAd. And this PubAd's definition, or what should be PubAd, this is ever expanding. And this is ever expanding, especially where? Especially in a globalized era. That means globalized era means we basically consider it what? Post 70s, like different countries have adopted globalization in different time period. But mostly we see the globalization effect picking up post the 90s. So basically from late 1980s to early 1990s and then 2000s, 2020s, etc. How has PubAd evolved to cater to citizens' needs? That is the question. How has PubAd evolved? Explain the statement. That means this is a true statement. Iske upar there is no necessity for you to sit and think, no, the statement is not right. No, this ye statement galat hai. There is no need to think like that. Statement is true. That is why they have said it to explain it. How has it evolved? How has it expanded? Again, your answer should contain at least these keywords. Because it's a 10 marker. You must understand that. Word limit is important. 2 pages you have maximum to write. So within that, you should briefly explain how it has moved on. From reinventing, re-engineering, then NPM, NPS, NPG. And again a few examples. Minimalist government, maximum on governance. Government role limited to few strategic sectors, and the rest of it is going to be either privatized or outsourced, with government keeping a watchful eye. So what gives validation? The theory part now, I don't think anybody should be having a confusion in writing it. But each point when you write, especially from the current era when you write, you need to give proper examples. That is important. And what example you will use in the first part, that is first question, part A of your answer, you are not going to use it elsewhere. This is very important, my dear friends, because without this, you cannot move ahead in public administration. Theory part, let me tell you, it is very limited. What really matters and what really will make your answer valid is the examples from current affairs, that too. So how has it evolved? So let us say Air India, which was under the domain of the government, today it is being privatized. PSUs, most of the PSUs are getting, what is it? Either privatized or government is reducing its stakeholding in it. Correct? Automatically we have dragged in paper 2 syllabus into paper 1. And we have given current affair example also. Job is done. 10 mark. This is more than sufficient. So what could be a proper introduction here? Introduction, if you see, you can define what is public administration. Correct? And what do you mean by a globalized era? When did that phenomenon or phase start? Then throw in these words with relevant examples. Job is done. Not necessary that you have to put up all of this, but yes, at least one sentence if you mention of these, like how it has evolved, or show a timeline or a chart, your answer will become perfect. Clear, people? Moving on to the next question now. Efficiency in the specialized sense is an organization's capacity to offer effective inducements in sufficient quantity to maintain the equilibrium of the system. Again, this is the beauty. The sentence may look complicated. Like, the first thing to understand is how to break down. Unity is strength, divided is fall. Let us break it down. Efficiency in the specialized sense is an organization's capacity to offer effective inducements in sufficient quantity to maintain the equilibrium of the system. So it simply means you are offering something to the system. And as long as you keep offering something to the system where the equilibrium is balanced, then that is efficiency. So what is this in the modern sense? When it comes to schemes, what it is? That the schemes, you are getting the results of it. Swachh Bharat mission you implemented, open defecation is coming down. Cleanliness levels are increasing. nutrition level or nutrition outcome is improving. Rural assets are being built thanks to Narega. So then you call it efficient. Corporate level, private level and all, we have no issues. The numbers will tell us. More profit is generated. The profit levels that are generated every year, that is the inducements for an organization. Correct? So once again here, analyze this statement. So this statement, you have to analyze it. Is it that way always? Efficiency is all about that only if inducements are given to the system will be in equilibrium. Is that the case always? That is what you need to analyze. So obviously, efficiency means what? Efficiency is something that the classical thinkers have been demanding. So directly classical thinkers have not been asked. But then the importance of efficiency, economy, effectiveness has been there since the era of Industrial Revolution 1.0. That way you can start off your question, your answer. Be it a mechanist or a closed system, which is solely based on structure, or an open system which is interacting with the environment, efficiency is a key thing. Correct? Air India's example. I agree. Earlier I gave you Air India's example for the first question. So you need to give some other example here. You can talk about any PSU. So say for example, Modern Bread, which was a PSU initially under the government, has been privatized. Telecom sector was privatized. That you can mention. Defense sector, now we are giving a few parts at least, we are making it in India. As a result of which what? Budget is reducing. That is efficiency. ISRO, indigenous manufacture, efficiency again. So yes, efficiency, capacity to offer effective inducements in sufficient quantity. That is why the system is maintaining the equilibrium. ISRO's existence is still relevant. Why? Because it is able to do all of this at a very small budget. But there is limitation when it comes to social infrastructure and subsidies. Efficiency cannot be the sole criteria, because there in terms of efficiency, if you see some subsidies or some social infrastructure schemes, say for example, investments made in health, investments made in education may not actually seem efficient at that point of time. You may not be able to measure it. Returns of it will come later only. So efficiency cannot be made always the criteria, because efficiency talks about in terms of numbers, in terms of profit alone. It ignores the human factor. So the human relation part, the behavioral part, the psychosocial part, that also has to be considered. Even that is also a crucial element that is necessary to maintain equilibrium of the system. Dot. Answer is over. Getting the point, people? Moving on. The process of decisions is largely technique of narrowing choices. Explain. Process of decisions is largely a technique of narrowing the choices. That means you have multiple choices and that you are bringing it down. Again, notice it. It's an explain question. That means you don't have to give the analysis. No. Decision making is something else. It is not about narrowing choices. You need not do that. Here it is about what? You're telling decision making is what? You're narrowing down your choices. Initially there were 5, then 4, 3, 2, then finally you go ahead with 1. That is the point here. So you briefly mention about what is decision making. What was Charles Lindblom's take on it? Bounded rationality, garbage can model, and then you need examples. So the examples have to be integrated along with what? Each of this. Not that you will start, Charles Lindblom said this, so this is the example. Not that way. You can start off with example itself. Getting the point? You start off with example how? Say for example, India made the decision of setting up the International Solar Alliance. Correct? Now this International Solar Alliance, when you think about, you can basically say it was a garbage can model example. Multiple solutions were there. Paris Agreement, this, that is, reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, carbon credits, multiple things were there. But finally we decided, why not go out with solar and create an alliance, thereby improving our connectivity. Thereby improving our connectivity in terms of power. Bounded rationality. Even though we may have all access to information, sometimes we'll have to choose best among the one. So demonetization was one such decision. We had information, but limited. We had limited access to resources, and that limitations finally made us to choose demonetization. So overall, when we see, and how you can build up or take decisions right from what? Right from scratch, something totally new. But that is also possible. So totally new decisions, what and all did we take? So like that, when you put it up, your answer, it becomes for a good read. Mistake what students will do is they may probably write Charles Lindblom said this. So this is the example. It is not an organic answer. An organic answer should be, you start off with decision making is all about making choices. Now sometimes the choices are readily available to us in terms of you have multiple options. So you put it all together and choose one out of it. Garbage, like the garbage can model. This way when you put it up, you can read it. Sometimes the choices are totally not there. So you need to start from scratch. Sometimes it is there. That is, a base is available and you make small changes to it. That in itself is decision making. Clear, people? This is the way to write it. Moving on. The judiciary is playing a more positive role in policy formulation, not just in limiting government actions, but also in mandating them. Comment. So, judiciary is playing a more positive role in policy formulation. What type of policies have to be formulated? Here, judiciary is taking an active part in it. Then, not just in limiting government actions, but also in mandating them. Policy formulation is the essence of public administration. Correct? Said by Paul Appleby. Now, this is just for your understanding. That is, few topics are there where you don't have any thinkers in it. Correct? Like classical thinkers. After that, our Weber's bureaucracy, etc. Then you move into human relations, school behavior, NPM, NPA. All that when you go, you have one or the other thinker associated with it. But some topics you don't have per se thinkers as such. For such topics, it is better you keep 2-3 thinkers aside. Like somebody would have said something. Somebody would have defined something. The purpose is that, so that such type of questions will not look like what? Will not look like a GS level answer. We need to keep it within the framework of what? Framework of the subject. So it is not necessary that you should remember who said it. If you remember it, great. But at least use the words said by the thinker. Clear? Now you use that. Importance of judiciary. How judiciary can. So is the essence of public administration. As per certain set of thinkers, public administration, it is what? Exclusively the domain of executive. But some others take a broad meaning of it. That is, it contains executive, judiciary and legislature. So when you write it, so this can be your first sentence. After that you say, some thinkers believe. Which thinker said that? Put it up in the comment section. Which thinker said that public administration is only the domain of the executive? And which thinker broadened it, telling that it is the domain of executive, judiciary, legislature? Now I made a small mistake here, which is, in this order when I write, it is always better that my answer has a flow. So when I mentioned this as my first statement, this should be my second. What? That it should be the exclusive domain of the executive. The third should be what? It consists of executive, legislature and the judiciary. From fourth point onwards, I start giving examples connected with it. That is, where judiciary has played a positive role in policy formulation. Not just in limiting government actions, but also in mandating them. That is, not only limiting, stopping the government from doing some things, but also asking them, get this thing done. So some things, okay, like NRC, some things cricket is a clear example of judiciary overstepping its boundaries. Because there is no direct public interest or public welfare involved here. Then why will judiciary interfere in cricket? Correct. So like this, you can give countless number of examples. Say for example, now there was a recent High Court verdict from Karnataka where they pulled up the drugs authority and told them to make the arrests faster and don't delay it. Because the more you delay it, there are provisions within the law whereby which they won't get, the accused won't get punished. So asking the executive also to do their job, asking the government to do their job. These are the examples. But finally, when you give a conclusion, that is, some cases judiciary stepping its mandate or stepping into the boundaries and asking the government to do their job or is good. But in some cases where public interest is not involved, it is better if judiciary does not overstep its mandate. This way you will put it up. And once that is done, how will you conclude it? You have to conclude always your answers on positive note. That is, judiciary ultimately it is the pillar of the democracy. And then you give instances of where judiciary has pulled up the government or taken good decisions, and how it is important that legislature, judiciary are in harmony. This is the idea. Clear, people? Moving on. Aage. Citizens Charters focuses on empowering citizens concerning public service delivery. Analyze. So a brief introduction of how Citizens Charter had evolved. PM John Major Britain. It was associated with which movement? And then Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation were what? Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, how very recently they have brought in Citizens Charter. That is, a metropolitan city like Hyderabad, very recently only they have implemented what Citizens Charter. That clearly shows what? There is a slight delay or lack of enthusiasm from government bodies in implementing it. First point. Second thing, time limit has not been prescribed in most of the Citizens Charters. That is an observation made by Mr. Venkaiah Naidu very recently. So these articles that coming in the paper, this is where the other thing that I wanted to tell you. Please see to it that you are reading your current affairs, especially public administration optional students. Please understand, whatever comes in the news from there, you will have one sentence being pulled up or one word being pulled up. Based on that, a question will be framed. And this was just one and a half month ago. I think this particular statement was made by Mr. Venkaiah Naidu. Clear? So you will analyze it. So Citizens Charter focuses on empowering citizens concerning public service delivery. Agreed. Its focus is on that. But there are drawbacks to it. Drawback is what? There is no time limit. There is a hesitation. And again, officers are not taken to task. If they fail to deliver the services, not everybody is punished. So Telangana government basically has a single window clearance. If you make any, proposals for business or investment, within 30 days you're supposed to get your approval. In case you don't get it, then what will happen? The approval is considered as given, and on top of it, the government official who did not take any action will have to pay a penalty. So these are exceptions. You cannot see this everywhere around India. Getting the picture, people? So this is the way you need to put it up. Paul firmly advocated for cultivating interdependence and collaboration among individuals as the key to resolving conflicts and establishing more harmonious and all-encompassing social structures. Discuss. This is one of the direct questions that have come. And this is what I would call a sitter. Sitter means this is like a full toss ball coming in and you're hitting the ball outside the park, which I believe you should have done. It's a direct question. How important is conflict resolution? Okay. Cultivating interdependence. So the key words you should understand here. Your answer should revolve around the key words of the statements given. Foley firmly advocated for cultivating interdependence and collaboration among individuals as the key to resolving conflict and establishing more harmonious and all-encompassing social structures. So Parliament has become a social structure when it came to the passing of Women's Reservation Bill. Where did I get the word social structure? I took it over here. Correct? Because except for two, memory serves me right, except for two MPs, a humongous majority of them supported it. So that was a classic example of resolving conflicts, establishing harmonious relationship, and you made Parliament a complete social structure. Correct? This is the point. But is this always possible? Sometimes executive decisions will have to be taken. Correct? Sometimes. So always this is not possible. The necessity of the situation, according to the situation, even with existing conflicts, you may have to go and take decisions. What type of decisions? Again, those examples you need to put up. It's a 20 marker. So you need to elaborate it. You need to say what is it? How cultivation of interdependence and collaboration is essential for a, what is it? So whichever organization that we are talking about. Clear? So if you don't have that interdependence and collaboration, then what will happen? Then conflicts will arise. So you can give examples of what firms. laying off their employees because their profit margins reduced. Clearly showing that they did not believe in interdependence. Correct? That is one thing. That is one aspect that you can put up over there. Harmonious and all-encompassing social structures organizations are. But even then, sometimes conflicts will be there. Like conflicts that exist between, say for example, CBI, the state government of West Bengal. Correct? This example also you can give. There was no interdependence. But with even after that also, how conflicts arose and how the whole social structure part of it went on to collapse. Clear? So it comes down to what examples you are using, how you are presenting it in the paper. That is what matters. The theory part I am telling you, it's actually very, 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 very small. And once that you have grasp over, writing these answers becomes a walk in the park. Your only focus should be on what? Collecting as many examples as possible. That too, those type of examples which you can apply it anywhere. Multi-purpose examples. Clear? Minnow Book 3 emphasized the importance of empirical research in generating valuable insights for public administration and recognized the need to tailor education in the field to different regional contexts. Examine. 15 marks. So Minnow Book 3 basically understood the importance of conducting empirical studies and tailoring education. That is, you custom make education for what? In different regional contexts. Examine this statement. Statement is true. Why? Because it started off with the insufficiencies of MB1 and MB2. So MB3 was basically a rectification of all that. And there were new challenges to the world back in 2008. Which was what? Global warming, terrorism. And Western world solutions were found to be insufficient for the developing world. However, so this is the part where we are agreeing with the statement. That is, yes, it is true. But then we need to examine it. That is the whole statement exclusively advocated for this? Not exactly. That is, MB3 did it exclusively say, yes, now we are going to, what is it? Focus only on empirical studies and we are going to focus on education. No, that did not happen. Why? Because first of all, during MB3, there were hardly any time for deliberations. Everybody was busy in trying to show that my theory is the best. And on top of it, there was a complete lack of trust. So the focus on empirical studies or the focus in tailor making education for different contexts, regional contexts, did not find its success. Moreover, post 2008, with the availability of technology, it was more easier for comparative public administration to carry out comparative public administration and then filter the lessons learned. Filter the lessons learned through cultural lens. That is, whatever you are seeing in the other, whatever is a success story that you're seeing in the other countries, you are not blindly cut copying and pasting it. Instead, you are filtering it through the cultural lens and implementing it. So the necessity that you need to sit and study now, or you all need to meet together, that got eradicated from the post 2000 era. Why? Now technology was available, material is available. You are easily able to see why some administrative practices are working in some countries and why it is not. And the successful ones, you are taking it up and you are implementing it. So say for example, US Social Security number is a successful initiative to track down every American citizen. But we did not blindly adapt it here. Instead, what did we do? Sorry, we did not blindly adopt it here. Instead, we took the idea and adapted it to the Indian conditions with more security features than the US Social Security number. That's it. Answer is over. Clear? Public-private partnerships have been justified in various ways over time that seek to privatize public services for the profit of private entities. Do you agree? That is, basically the idea here is what? PPP model itself, if you see, it has been basically entertained only so that some private entities can gain maximum profit out of it. Do you agree with this statement? Government has been entertaining it so that only few private players makes money out of it. Do you agree? So first, obviously, definition of public-private partnership. And why you don't completely agree with the statement. At least that is my take on this. You don't completely agree with the statement because be it healthcare, be it roadways, be it defense, everywhere now we are using PPP model. You can give multiple examples of it. Why? Because of their efficiency, quality, as well as less delay. That is the major reason for this. However, what is the problem here? It tends to create a user-pay relationship between the government and the citizen. That is the point. There, only the ones who can afford it will be able to get the services, which is actually against the principles of public administration. Getting the point here? That is the only drawback with this. But otherwise, public-private partnership is the order of the day. It's today's order. At least in our country, it is today's order. Any sector you pick it up, you will find plenty of examples for this. So we don't agree with it directly, but the publicness of it should not be forgotten. That is the way you're going to end it up. Publicness. This is what you're going to put it up. Clear, people? Moving on. Organization theory is not a single theory with a loosely knit of many approaches to organizational analysis, and it provides different answers to different situations. Comment. So organizational theory, when we say, it is not a single theory with a loosely knit of many approaches to organizational analysis, and it provides different answers to different situations. So organization theory, when we say, it's not a single theory of different approaches. First part of the statement is that. Second thing, it provides different answers to different situations. That is the second part. So organization theories, when we say, you have multiple theories from classical theory to artificial intelligence armed organizations we have today. Correct? So each theory is different. Each theory, you cannot say that it is a single theory. Organization theory, you can club all these theories and make one single theory. It is not possible. Agreed. Second, IR 1.0, IR 2.0 focused more on efficiency. Weber's bureaucracy helped colonies after independence. Post-World War II, focus shifted to human development, human relations school and behavioral school. All of this you can put up. It provides different answers to different situations. Agreed. Modern day focus is on efficiency without forgetting the human element. And talk about the Writers Guild strike that took place in USA. But it is a common question. So here we have said yes, it provides different answers to different situations. But organization theory also, if you see, some aspects of organization, you cannot take it out. Some aspects of organization are common to all. Like there should be a structure, there should be a hierarchy, there should be a discipline, there should be a way in which people behave, irrespective of context, irrespective of the situation. Correct? Discipline should be maintained, punctuality should be maintained, there should be an hierarchy, there should be a unity of command, there should be a unity of direction. Only then as an organization they can move forward, whatever be the situation. Getting the picture, people? Intrinsic motivation in comparison to extrinsic motivation leads to enhanced performance and creativity. Examine the statement. So basically it is trying to say, if you are internally motivated in comparison to external motivation, internal motivation is more of high performance compared to externally. So you can briefly mention about whom? Maslow as well as Herzberg. And you can agree with the statement through the example of what? Great Resignation phenomenon. That is, in the Great Resignation phenomenon, what happened? Many incentives were offered to the employees, especially during the post-corona phase. Many incentives, financial incentives were given. But employees basically, based out of Europe as well as USA, decided to resign in massive numbers. Corporate sector was like, what the hell, what is happening? Tried to give them more money, still they didn't want. They were like, we are resigning. Okay, what is your package? What is your next offer? They were like, we don't have a package. We don't have an alternate. What is the job also available? We are just resigning. Clearly showed that they valued more things other than money. They were looking for better job roles, better job description, better job responsibilities, and better excitement in the job. And they were not liking the micromanaging that was being done by their superiors, especially during the work from home basis. Just to give you the background, I'm telling all this much. You need not write that much and all over here. But great resignation, 2-3 lines you can mention. This is what it has happened. This is not always true, especially in third world countries, because there, even now, basic needs are a distant dream for many. In third world countries, the basic needs are still a distant dream. So there, extrinsic motivation works better than intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is there or not, most people will end up doing things simply because they are getting paid for it. That is the other thing to it. Ultimately, what you will say, a balance of both is what is required. An individual should not be blindly led by extrinsic motivation, because it clearly shows the individual is not psychologically or behaviorally empowered. Both should be available. Only then you get a high performing individual who will be able to bring results, both whether be it in the private sector or in the government sector. Clear? The backlash against right to information by the state hampered the citizens' right to know, examine and point out the need to amend the RTI Act to provide protection to RTI activists. Obviously, start with definition. So, examine. Backlash against RTI by the state hampered the citizens' right to know. Backlash means what? Backlash means something. Something is coming and hitting you. And who is hitting you? The state is hitting you. Because the state is almost punishing you because you filed an RTI, it is affecting citizens' right to know. Examine the statement and point out the need to amend the RTI Act to provide protection to RTI activists. To what extent this is required? That is the thing. Again, current affairs, you would have seen a lot of articles being written on how the RTI amendments, certain amendments are breaching the RTI activists' secrecy or their ability to gather information, etc. So the definition part, and you need to examine that statement. Is it because state is punishing them? Not always. Some cases, nefarious or not nefarious, but let us say useless information being asked, which is a wastage on state's time. So for that, definitely punishment is required, because ultimately it is a government servant who has to sit and file up this RTI information. So the government servant's time also has to be respected. That is one point. Apart from that, if at all the RTI activists are seeking something, it is important that they are protected. More than RTI Act, how can you protect this? Through whistleblowers protection, by strengthening Lokpal and Lokayuktas, and you can give some genuine examples from current affairs. Clear, people? So almost all the questions, if you see this time, paper 1, that is the interesting part. Paper 1's questions itself, if you see, most of them have been picked up from where? Current affairs itself, or their basis is in current affairs. Clear, people? Moving on. Redin model of leadership added third dimension to the existing two basic dimensions of leadership identified by Ohio studies and Blake and Mountain. Elucidate. It's a straightforward question with explanation part. Here the focus is obviously what is the Redin model of leadership. That is the first part of your definition. It added a third dimension to the existing two basic dimensions of leadership identified by Ohio studies and Blake and Mountain. So you need to add up what was the dimension of leadership that was added by Ohio studies and then what was given by Blake and Mountain. So you must understand one thing here. Again, these thinkers are not actually the ones whom you will see in your normal reference materials, etc. So only very few students would have probably attempted this question. So every year, 1 or 2 questions like this, which is completely out of the box of a random thinker or a random theory, it gets asked. And this is not a phenomenon that is just confined to one optional subject. It is probably there in every optional subject. 1 or 2 questions you may get. Here we are discussing every question. That is why now this is and if you see, when they ask such questions also, it's pretty much straightforward. Elucidate means explain. So what third dimension was brought in by Redden, and what were the first 2 dimensions of Ohio? That is what you need to explain here. And as usual, what? Examples of this from current affairs. That is what you need to do. Clear, people? Other than that, you need not elaborate anything more over here. Clear? And just because you get some random thinkers like this doesn't mean you should go and buy the textbook from the market and start studying them. That is the worst thing that you can do. Just because a question on leadership of some new thinkers or some new studies were asked doesn't mean always you have to what? Keep going behind new thinkers. Clear? Two-factor theory entails certain factors in workplace resulting in job satisfaction, while others, if absent, lead to dissatisfaction. Discuss this. It's a very direct question. After Mary Parker Foley's question, if there was another question which was too direct, it is this question here. Clear? It's a straightforward question, elaborated with example. Best part about it is it's a 15 marker. So you can clearly tell what are those areas where exactly individuals will feel motivated or feel satisfied. What are those areas where the individuals will feel dissatisfied? So again, if you can give proper examples from the government circle as well as from the private circle, your answer is complete. Clear, people? Subordinate legislation has its drawbacks. This does not negate the fact that it is also quite beneficial. Examine. Means what? Subordinate legislation is bad, but it is also good. That is what it means. Examine it. First things first, define it. What is subordinate legislation? All right. Then you can mention that it is like a bureaucratic feature. What are the drawbacks and how it is beneficial? So subordinate legislation means you are giving the power of legislation below. So that part, how is it beneficial? How it has its own set of drawbacks? How certain laws are framed at the lower levels, which can violate certain principles of the basic structure of the Constitution. Think about it. There are a few news articles where they clearly mentioned that some, laws which are being framed is violating what? The Constitution's basic structure. Which were those? Put it up in the comment section. And with that, we come to an end of section A. Now let us move on to section B. So when it comes to section B, the first question is, the Constitution of French Republic does not prohibit ministers from being the leader of political party. It is customary that the minister should not occupy such a post to ensure impartiality. Explain. Now, this is like a paper 2 question here. Constitutional framework of different parts of the world, etc. In that, if this question would have come in paper 2, it would have made sense. But here in paper 1, when it comes, little bit of constitution we'll have to write. There is no doubt about it, because obviously the word itself is what? Constitution of French Republic. So what is the background behind that? Why was it done? The ultimate purpose is what? Impartiality, or to bring in what? Neutrality. That means we are talking about politics administration dichotomy. The overlap part. Overlap can happen in certain things, but in most of the other things, it is better that politics do not interfere with administration, because administration should not become politically motivated. Because ultimately administration answers to the political executive. So it is important. In the day-to-day functioning, it should not be there. That is about it. The ultimate goal of using management information system is to increase values and productivity in organization. Explain. Direct question again. What is MIS? A few examples. Saksham of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, National Health Authority, which is a new hospital information system. So how it will increase values and productivity? Because again, it's an explain question. So how can MIS be used to improve the values and the productivity? Cost benefit analysis is of great help to the policymakers in framing policies and providing advice on developing public policy. Examine the statement. Cost benefit analysis. Simon's economic man. Any economic man will think about cost benefit analysis ultimately. Correct? So Simon's economic man is like that. He will think about cost benefit analysis. Policymakers and framing what policies and providing advice on developing public policy. That is a key principle involved even in budgeting also. In the case of Tejas light combat aircraft, what happened to the budget? How many years did it took for the aircraft to be manufactured? Finally, what decision was taken when it came to orders? Should we get it manufactured by HAL or should we give it to private players? Getting the point? That is clear cost benefit analysis. However, what is the problem? I agree, in the initial part, we had already mentioned social infrastructure, correct? So you can mention here, instead of social infrastructure, you can either mention here subsidies or you can mention freebies, whatever. The point here, what I wanted to stress here is, this is where reading the question paper completely once is important. Because first you need to see 1A, B, C, D, E. Then 5A, B, C, D, E. If there are similarly patterned or worded statements, it is important that you give different examples here. So if in the earlier question you had talked about social infrastructure and how you cannot actually measure the economy of it, the efficiency part of it. Here in the case of subsidies, you can mention why you cannot go for a cost benefit analysis when you talk about giving free LPG cylinders or subsidized free LPG connections, subsidized LPG cylinder, or for the matter free electricity for agriculture or subsidized food for the poor. In all these cases, you cannot put a cost benefit analysis there. You cannot look at the cost there. That you can throw it in here. Clear, people? Moving ahead. Monetary policy and fiscal policy are different, but both are used to regulate the economy. Discuss. 10 marker. Again, very direct question. First of all, start with the definition. What is monetary policy? What is fiscal policy? How interest rates are used to control inflation? What is the importance of maintaining fiscal deficit so as to reduce inflation? And why it is important for the government to maintain the fiscal deficit through the FRBM Act. Why it is important to maintain the fiscal deficit both at the center and at the state level, and how RBI has also made certain decisions with regard to certain type of borrowing policies of the government, like issuing ad hoc bills and all that, how it has stopped. So how both together can complement each other and regulate the economy. That should be what the final conclusion. Instead of conflicting, employer-employee relationship should be one of mutual reliance. Explain. So instead of conflicting, employer-employee relationship should be of mutual reliance. Again, it's almost a repeat question of what we earlier saw under 4A. But here it is for 10 marker. So here we can talk about what? Increasing the size of the pie. As you can clearly see, classical thinkers, I have scattered it very conveniently in different questions without directly talking about it, without directly talking about the thinker. So increasing the size of the pie, how it is the, workers' responsibility according to, let us say, Gulick and Ervik, who talked from the side of management, that is workers should think from the side of the management, or how Taylor emphasized the importance of how management should think from the side of the workers, and how the later thinkers like say Fayol, Gulick, Ervik and all finally went on to say what? The importance of valuing the workers' welfare and their values. So once you focus on all this, automatically conflict can be reduced. Because Foley has already been written in another answer. There is no point in dragging her here again. Getting the picture here. Directly, if you see classical thinkers, not a single question has come. But indirectly, you need to place them in different contexts, in different areas. Getting the point? Let's say because Simon's decision making, we had included it elsewhere. Correct? Elton Mayo also, if you wanted, you could have placed it there. No issues. So the placement of thinkers is an art in itself when it comes to answer writing. You need to place them at the right place. So that is why in the first 10-15 minutes, your job should have been, okay, this thinker, I'll write it here. This thinker, I'll write it here. This thinker, I'll write it here. This examples, I'll write it here, 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 here. This practice, if you have had, it would have become very easy to write this answer paper. Clear? Moving further. The studies in comparative public administration got momentum in 1980s and 90s with a new objective and orientation than its previous counterparts. Critically examine 20 marks. So obviously, how studies in comparative public administration was earlier. When did it all start? So CPA is as old as public administration. You can put it up that way itself, starting with Woodrow Wilson's 1887 essay, because even without specifically talking about comparative public administration, he actually gave the idea there that you can compare Europe's more government with USA's democratic government. He started it off. But later on, the focus was on what? Universal principles, universal principles. That is why comparative public administration never got the momentum, because till then the idea was you have a set of principles, apply it anywhere, it is going to work. So there was no specific contextual study done. But later, once NPA, Minobrew conference, etc. started coming, people started realizing that, you see, one solution will not suit everywhere. You need to modify it according to the cultural context. Now things started changing. Now it started picking up. 80s and 90s, it started picking up with more emphasis from what? With the participation of private players. And how people started demanding, that is from passive receivers, simply being passive receivers of public goods, citizens became empowered, aware. Now they started demanding services. NPS and then new public governance. And obviously what? Emergence of technology. So today service delivery has reached a point where comparative public administration today is all about what? CPA is all about AI enabled governance. Again, you have national and international examples for it. So how CPA evolved earlier, how it did not evolve now, and how it has happened. That's the point here. And today where it is standing. Today are we constantly doing it? No. Today it has toned down a lot. Today it is not about more about comparative public administration. It is more about what? Grassroots level. What is the solution? It is more about grassroots level, more than CPA. Now it has almost, CPA's importance is limited, rather than solutions is being built what? Local solutions, ground up. Those solutions are being developed because that have a more regional basis compared to the top-down comparative public administration. That is the critical part of it. You are not agreeing with it completely. 80s, 90s, it increased. Fine. But later on, the emphasis has been on what? Grassroots level administration, grassroots level solutions, bottom up administration. So CPA generally had this problem of being top down. Internationally, something is successful. Okay, let us bring it here and implement it here. That was the idea. Nowadays, it is the other way around. For a local problem, it's a local solution. Clear? In explaining the development, Weidner made a distinction between change in the output and change in the system itself, and warned that what is growth from one point of view may decline from another. Comment. So here basically this is again a direct question. A very direct question where you have to explain both the positive and the negative. 15 marker. So goes without saying, you need to put up the right amount of examples, especially with regard to when what is growth from one point of view. What you may see as growth from one point, on the other side there may one point of view may decline from another. That is on one point when we are seeing that ABC countries, the triangle, South American, Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, these three countries, or even if you're talking about Australia, in these four places, basically they are basically doing what? Drilling for semiconductor materials, correct? Now, when that is happening, yes, on one way it is growth. Why? Electricity based out of non-fossil fuels is being built. But on the other side, what is happening? On the other side, environmental destruction is happening. Clear? So these type of examples, you need to throw it in there and your job is done. Zero-based budgeting is based on program efficiency rather than budget history. In light of this, examine the advantages of ZBB over traditional budget. In light of this means you should keep this statement as your base foundation. So based on that statement, how ZBB can bring in program efficiency compared to traditional budget. Obviously, it will start with what? It's a direct question again. You need to define what is zero-based budgeting, how it will bring in program efficiency compared to a traditional budget. Again with examples. Clear? Public policy making is an effort to apply methods of political analysis to policy areas, but has concerns with processes inside the bureaucracy and stakeholders discuss. So, public policy making again. It's all about what? Methods of political analysis. How you are doing the political analysis to come out with a solution. But then it is concerned with bureaucracy and stakeholders. Now, how this question is different from the earlier one is, earlier one we were talking about policy formulation, like how it can happen. But here, there we did not think about bureaucracy. Here they have brought in bureaucracy and the stakeholders. So the problem is not that the analysis is happening. The problem is with what? The bureaucracy and the stakeholders that is involved there. Why? Because bureaucracy has a tendency for what? Being reactive, like Bentham's dog law or Peter principle or Parkinson's principle or Parkinson law. In any of these, if you take up, you can see why it is a bad idea for public policy making. Even though you are analyzing it politically, the moment you bring bureaucracy into it, any one of these problems can arise. So you can talk about, let us say, the fact that India has 53 ministries. India at one point of time, 2018, India had 53 ministries. 53 ministries means that many bureaucrats, correct? Whereas China or USA or Germany has had only 13 ministries at that point of time in 2018. Look at the difference in the number. So this is the point here. So yes, public policy making can become what? You become concerned with the processes inside the bureaucracy and the stakeholders. Why? They keep creating work for themselves. At the same time, it's a discussed question. Why do you need bureaucracy? Why do you need to be worried about the stakeholders? Because without considering the stakeholders, you cannot frame a policy. Because it can then backfire, or you can make the government to go for a U-turn. Classic example, 3 farm laws. Correct? And without the bureaucracy's vision, you cannot develop anything, because bureaucracy has the technical power. Moreover, the most important thing there, bureaucracy that we talk about ultimately is what? The bridge between the public and the political executive. That is the importance. And the public is nothing other than but, as per the question, it is the stakeholder. Throwing in such diagrams in your answer, along with validating it with relevant bills, relevant schemes, etc., will help you gain more marks. Clear? In career advancement, civil servants are necessitated to political superiors, and hence the phenomenon poses the challenges to civil service neutrality. Comment. So, basically what it is, civil servants are necessitated. That is, political servants and civil servants, they come together ultimately. As a result of which, civil service neutrality is affected. Comment on the question. So, once again, you can bring in Woodrow Wilson here about the necessity to keep politics and administration separate. You can talk about the incident where private secretary to Odisha CM was pulled by the central government, and even they put a formal complaint telling that private secretary to the Odisha CM has been attending political rallies instead of the chief minister and using the helicopter or the resources meant for the chief minister by the secretary. which is a clear violation of All India service rules, because you are not supposed to be part of any religious outfit or political outfit. Classic example that civil servants with their career advancement, what is it? They are threatening the civil service neutrality. Kerala IAS Association and 2 serving IAS officers approached the CAT, that is the Central Administrative Tribunal, against the Kerala government's frequent and arbitrary transfer orders. Frequent and arbitrary transfer orders by a government. Why will they do that? When a civil servant tries to be neutral. So there are 2 ways to this. One way is what? The civil servant is interested in getting politically involved. The other thing is what? When the civil servant does not want to be affiliated to any one of the political parties or the ruling party, then they are witch hunted. So both these things can happen. Getting the point? So there needs to be a balance to be maintained. So this is where you are going to mention about what? What are the second ARC recommendations with regard to this particular topic? What does second ARC has to say about it? That also you will throw it in there. Your answer is complete. Information communication technology can harness the power of artificial intelligence to execute the policies more intelligently, creating an efficient and effective government. Examine and identify the challenges. First of all, what do you mean by ICT? What do you mean by AI? That you will define. Then you will talk about the new public governance that is happening right now. How are you delivering governance today using ICT or using AI? You can give the example of what? Narega. Today it is now to the point where you are geotagging what? The people who are working under Narega, just to see to whether they are present in the location real time. Then to reduce consumer case backlog, artificial intelligence is being used. So in all these cases, yes, the statement is true. You can execute policies and create an efficient and effective government. But what are the challenges? There is a lack of regulation. Then obviously, electricity availability, chip fabrication, internet, storage of data. These are the other challenges associated with AI. So once a solution is found for all of this, proper regulation, etc. So electricity, for that what you are having, say for example, your schemes like Har Ghar Sahaj Bijli Yojana. Then chip fabrication, we are collaborating with USA. Internet availability, you have what is it? Optical fiber connectivity, connecting 2.5 lakh gram panchayats. What about storage? We are trying to ask most of the companies to start, to e-commerce companies, to have the data of Indians stored within the country itself, automatically bringing in investments. So for the challenges, don't simply write the challenges and leave it there. Challenges anybody will write. That is not the point here. That though is the easiest thing. The point here is, if for each challenge that you will write, you will give a solution. Clear, people? The management of sound public finances used to be the backbone of administrative system, but unfortunately it has become the prisoner of populist policies. Critically evaluate. So, management of sound public finances used to be the backbone of administrative system. Management of sound public finances means what? You are managing your finances in the most proper way. That is what it means. So, but unfortunately it has become the prisoner of populist policies. Critically evaluate. So first part of this answer is what? Yes, we agree with the statement. Why? The subsidies that is provided, freebies that is provided. It's a clear indication that this is not prudent economics. It is almost unheard of in any other part of the world. And this will put a huge burden on what? The fiscal deficit of the state. But exceptions, government of Tamil Nadu. Government of Tamil Nadu, even during the time period of Corona or post-Corona, helped the people who were residing in Tamil Nadu with cash transfers to the citizens, so that they can celebrate and they can survive. That is, the basic needs are met. It was helpful. Government of Karnataka announced a slew of measures which included what? Free travel, free electricity, etc. But finally what happened? The government of Karnataka was forced to, the state government of Karnataka was forced to accept what? That they will not be able to carry out any developmental activities because of the freebies that they announced before elections or the freebies that they have implemented post elections. So finally, the point is, it is not about freebies, are you announcing or you're not announcing or you're having subsidies. Populist measures should be announced according to the economic situation of the state. Whether the state is economically well off or the state can fund its populist measures. State should not resort to borrowing to fund the populist measures. That is the point. Clear, people? Women empowerment is essential for sustainable development. Hence, it should not be reflected only in programs, but promoting concrete actions to ensure the participation across institutions and communities. Critically examine. So obviously, you will start off with what the importance of women's participation. You can basically say how if women are at the top or at the helm of affairs, if they are made at the place at the top level of leadership, how it will benefit the profit margins, etc. There is a World Bank study on it. I hope you would have quoted it. But then the problem is to make them, it should not be reflected. Women empowerment should not be reflected not only in programs, but promoting concrete actions to ensure participation across institutions and communities. The participation across institutions and communities will only happen if the society is also what? Broad-minded. Because as per Kathy Ferguson, what has she basically told? Kathy Ferguson has basically told that any bureaucracy will be a representative of the society. So if the society is, what is it, is little against women, the society does not want women to be empowered, automatically the institutions as well as the communities also will reflect the same mindset. So no matter how much ever you try, that participation is not going to happen until society evolves. Can talk about the local, state and panchayat level and parliament level, how things are, how women are taking part and not taking part. You can also talk about how among communities, within communities, SC, ST, minorities, how women's education levels, women empowerment is very, very limited, and how because of the poor social outcomes within these regions, within these communities, you can also see a reflection of it in the lack of participation in what? Institutions from these communities. This you can mention. Then final solution is what? Final solution is obviously revamping reservation at the highest level. Now today at the highest level also reservation has been brought in. So automatically there is a very good chance that we can expect more participation from women. Training is not a short affair, rather it is a step-by-step process of developing skills, habit, knowledge and aptitude. 15 marks. Be it classical thinkers, be it behavioral thinkers, basically what is it? We know that they all gave emphasis to training in different ways, but if behavioral thinkers kept training more, the training part, they gave it more importance from a standpoint of human relations, human interactions, the informal group settings. Classical thinkers kept it very formal, structure based. According to each stage of your career, you need to get the concerned training. Both are equally relevant. Both are equally relevant. Post GST, how officers had to undergo training. Post 26/11, how we developed a new set of what? A new set of force within the Mumbai police. Again, what is its name? Put it down in the comment section. A new force within the Mumbai police so as to meet any unforeseen contingencies just like 26/11. Clear? And how this will help in developing skills, habits, knowledge and aptitude. Explain type question it is. There is nothing much to analyze it and all. Clear, people? So that was it, people. I hope you have understood the crux of the paper. So you can clearly see it was a very direct, very easy paper. Probably one of the very easiest papers that have come out in a very long time. I hope you have all done wonderfully well. All right. And those of you who are wondering as to how to analyze these topics, how to do this, how to interconnect it, how to remember the examples quickly, please attend the classes of Physics Wala, Public Administration, and then you will get a clue about it. All right. So that's all. So with that, we come to an end of our discussion on Public Administration Paper 1, question paper analysis. I know some of you are wondering how to think theory, example, all this together, how to remember this so fast and all that. See, let me tell you, theory is very limited. Let me tell you that again and again. It is all about who is teaching you public administration. That is the most important part. That person can make your life easy or can make your life very, very difficult. Few thinkers, if you put it up together and club all the things, actually total number of chapters in public administration, paper 1 and paper 2 together, will be only around 16 or 17, not more than that. Yes, you heard me right. It is not 26. That is a total number. But you can actually club a lot of common topics. There are a lot of overlapping topics. Put it in the right way, and then it's only 16 to 17 chapters. So it all comes down to who is teaching it to you. That is the most important thing, and how you are understanding it. And again, the other important part is, as the theory is being taught to you, the examples also has to be given. Only if these two things go hand in glove, once you see the question, it will come to you immediately what example to throw in. Clear, people? Take care.